in the Dodgers.
And good morning. It's now 7:04, and it's Thursday, October 7th. It's time to head to Studio B for Coleman and Company. Our guest host today, Judge Barry Tatum.
Thank you, MJ, and thanks for everybody for tuning in this morning to WANT 98.9, Coleman and Company. And, of course, Coleman's on special assignment, and talked to him yesterday, and he's just itching to get back up here. But I don't know what Susie's got him working on, but supposedly there's going to be a big break on this. But on maybe we won't have rain today. It looks like maybe the cloud deck is rising. We had a lot overnight, and but the weekend is supposed to be beautiful, and it would be a good weekend to go look at new cars. And that's why we have two gentlemen here, friends of mine from Bates Ford of Lebanon. We've got Ronnie Kelly and Paul Tubbs. Good morning, fellas.
Good morning.
Good morning.
How's the world treating y'all?
Treating us fine. You know, we're in the car business, and we selling a lot of cars and getting a few in every now and then. And one good thing that we, Paul is doing a great job in keeping us in vehicles and keeping us informed of what's going on. And he's buying a lot of vehicles for us. And for the last few days, we got about 4 or 5 Explorers in, brand new Explorers, and everybody's been looking for those Explorers. And on those select vehicles that has $500 rebate and 0% interest. So that'll be something that'd be great. Come down and pick up one of these vehicles, because a lot of times when our vehicles come in, people give us a call, and when they come, they already sold, so they're not lasting long. And we had a few trucks come in, and those trucks are already gone.
So get them while they're hot.
You got to get them while they're hot right now, and we need you to come in and look at our sales staff. We got a very friendly sales staff that's doing a great job and helping everyone with their vehicle needs. And we got one addition that was added to our sales staff was Toby Bakes. It's Tony Bakes' brother, and he's a great young man, and he's doing a great job in getting these vehicles out. So come down to Bates Ford and see our friendly sales staff. And if you have anything that you want to turn into cash, come and talk to Paul.
As long as it doesn't eat.
Right. As long as we trade for anything that don't eat. If you come down and talk to Paul, Mike, or Joey, and we'll sit down and try to purchase that vehicle, we'll turn whatever you got into cash.
Well, that's Paul, I don't know what you can say. How are you going to follow up to that?
Well, we did set a world record yesterday. So
what? Oh, tell me about it.
We had a Maverick truck, the very first one. It's a little smaller than a Ranger. It's a new pickup Ford come out with, and
Maverick
of course,
truck.
It's a small pickup truck. It's very inexpensive. It's something Ford's gotten into that vehicle market. And that truck, I said, look there, the driver pulls in. And, of course, every time somebody pulls in with new vehicles, everybody's jumping up and down right now because the lack of. But we did get some Rangers. We got some Explorers. We got some F-150s. So they are trickling in. But this Maverick truck was the first one. Of course, everybody's calling, wanting to know about it. And this truck pulls in, and we back it off of the driver pulls, and you got to do your inspection. And a lot of times I'll check them in, walk around, make sure they're not dented or banged or scratched, and look to make sure we got all the keys and all that good stuff. So that we pull it in, park it in the parking spot. A good customer who's bought probably, 25, 30 vehicles from us pulls in and says, y'all were supposed to call me when this Maverick shows up. And I said, buddy, it's been here 2 minutes. And he looks at it. It's Ronnie's customer. Ronnie sold him, 30, 40 vehicles. And we had it on the lot a matter of 2 minutes. And the gentleman comes in, and we do all the paperwork. And he trades in a Ranger with 7,000 miles, a real nice Ranger that he had bought back in, was it a 20 or 21?
19.
It was a 19 Ranger with 7,000 miles.
It's had one oil change.
Yeah, and he bought the Maverick, and the Maverick was probably on our lot a good 2 minutes before it was sold. So I feel like that's a pretty good world record.
I'd say so. That's impressive right there. But my first new car my sister ever had, my dad and mom purchased that for, and it was a red Ford Maverick 4-door sedan. Purchased it from Burchett Ford back then. And I remember that the sales office, you didn't have the showroom that has been there as long as most people can remember. they had a mobile home or a modular home sitting there that they sold out of.
Right.
But this Maverick truck, I'm not familiar with it.
Yeah,
Is it smaller than a Ranger?
It is, and it's kind of, and I'm gonna throw another brand out there, but I don't know if anybody's familiar with the Honda Ridgeline, which is a small Honda truck. And Ford, it's a Ford, but I mean, this truck, it was pretty much loaded out, nice truck, $27,000 brand new vehicle, which I feel like is a very, reasonable price on new vehicles. Some of them can get even into the low 20s, and you get a brand new vehicle for a real inexpensive price, but it is a smaller truck that's a little smaller than the Ranger.
So if you've got some light duty moving around, shrubbery, flowers, that type of thing, it'd be perfect for that trip to the grocery store.
Yeah, that's it. Grocery getter.
What's that?
It's a grocery getter.
Grocery getter. And Ronnie, what you were talking about there with the Ford Explorers, you got $500 rebate and 0% interest
on select models.
Okay.
That's a great thing to have. And on our used vehicles, like I said, they keeping a lot. They keeping a lot of our trucks. They're getting a little tougher to get right now, but we got a good selection of used vehicles. But those guys stay on the road trying to find vehicles for us, and every time they turn around, they're trying to buy something from somebody. So if you have anything you want to turn into cash, you just bring it down to Bakes Ford and see Mike, Joey, or Paul. I guarantee you, if you bring your title with you, and you'll take cash back with you.
Yeah, on our used inventory, I was a little nervous there at one time because we were getting a little slim, and I know people right around town see these lots. But we've done an excellent job. We traded for a lot of real good vehicles, and we got a good line of vehicles under $15,000. We've probably right now we went from zero about 2 to 3 weeks ago till we got about 9 now. The vehicles under $15,000. It's a really good price, point if you got a kid or if you want an inexpensive vehicle. And also on service side, we've always got the cheapest oil change in town. We're running our tire special. They just sent me some tire information where there's $100 rebates on tires, and of course we'll always meet or beat anybody's price on tires.
Well, I'll have to say this. I bought a car from Ronnie. I'm not one that trades very often, and it was probably 2005 or 6 that I bought it from you. Drove it here this morning, and I'll have to say this. 3 or 4 or 5 years ago, the battery went dead, and I've had good service out of it. Raised the hood, no battery. It was in the trunk.
Yeah, them LS has got them in the trunk.
And but it was the original Motorcraft battery.
Those Motorcraft batteries, they give you a 100-month warranty when you buy them and a 3-year free replacement, and they're as good a battery, and they're cheap. I was telling somebody, I tell Coleman all the time, I see people go to these parts houses and spend $170, $180 for a battery. We put them in for $134.95 on most vehicles, and you get a free 3-year free replacement and a 100-month warranty on them.
Can't beat that. 1673 West Main Street, Bates Ford of Lebanon. Check out with Paul or Ronnie about any vehicles, whether it's new, pre-owned, or rebates. And what's that telephone number, fellas?
It's 615-444-8221. And also, if you want to get on the web, you can go to www.tonybatesford.com and look at anything we got and give us a call. We'll be glad to help you.
All right. Gentlemen, thank y'all. Hope you have a great day.
Thank you.
And a great week. And while we're getting our guests moving into our chair over here, I want to remind everybody about the Breakfast Rotary Club Fish Fry coming up this Saturday at the Ward Ag Center at the Expo Center. And it's from 4 to 7. And it's to benefit through the Breakfast Rotary Club. They're benefiting some charities on there, but it's $15 per plate. Catfish, chicken tenders, fries, hush puppies, dessert, and a soft drink. And who knows, might see me out there going through the line 2 or 3 times. And with that, it's a few minutes before a break, and we've got my good friend Jim Amaro from Watertown. Good morning, Jim.
Top of the morning.
Top of the morning.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Well, I tell you, you travel up here from Watertown, that's east of us a little bit, and to the south. Any sunshine this morning? Because it looks
a peak or two. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Just enough to wake me out of bed and roll up here.
Well, it's, you're the, I guess the Jim's Antiques up in Watertown. It's been on the square. You relocated a few years ago, but
been there for 25 years now in town. So,
but your big thing is every year there's 2 mile-long yard sales.
Isn't that the truth? Yes.
And you've been elbow deep in those mile-long yard sales for almost all of those 25
Correct.
years.
We've had a hand in it, and when there was a vacancy, I stepped up to the plate. I just felt the need for it, and it's just something I love to do. This is going to be supposedly my last one because I had health issues when I went to Maine in the spring after the yard sale in the spring, and it's time. It's been 25 years. I just turned 74.
Really?
Yeah. So it's
whatever you're doing, keep it up because
I love
you
it.
look better than I do.
But we're slowly breaking in a young lady that is she's a chamber manager. She's manages the offices, and she's capable of it, or I feel she is. And Chelsea Robertini is her name. And
Chelsea Robertini.
Yep, and she's willing to learn, and she's been my shadow for a couple of months. So.
Well, one good thing about this rain that we've had, not only is it moving out just in time for the sun to get out.
You're welcome, yes.
But it's softened the ground up so when people set up their tents and when people put out their signs and so forth, they'll have some soft ground to drive their stakes in. Hopefully not muddy, but...
Right. No, we hope by that time that we can send them in. The private yard's set up on Friday. Everything's ready to go on Saturday by 7.
Well, I'm looking in there at the studio at MJ, and it's a little bit past quarter of the hour, so it'll be time for a traffic report and a word from our sponsors. When we come back, we'll talk about the particulars of the mile-long yard sale coming up this weekend.
Thanks, Judge. Let's see what's happening on the roadways, and it's all brought to you by our friends at Absolute Kubota Exmark. Large inventory of Exmark mowers for homeowners and commercial users, #1 selling brand. Bought 2-to-1 over any other commercial mower brand. 1506 West Main. Now at traffic, here's Chuck.
Good morning. Traffic's on the increase quite a bit actually in the last few minutes as we check it out live. I-40 coming in from Wilson County this morning. 24 still looks good up through the Hickory Hollow area. Same goes for the traffic there up through Kingston Springs. It's building pretty good, however, on 40 East. As you make your way through Dixon County, still on the scene of an accident. 4400 Black 11 and Pike over in Hermitage. Hey, Princess Hot Chicken is now open inside the Assembly Food Hall near the National Museum of African American Music on Broadway. You can always order online at princesshotchicken.com. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
Renewal happens here at Lebanon Center for Rehabilitation and Healing. Lebanon Center for Rehabilitation and Healing has experienced new leadership and a new atmosphere. Same location in the heart of Lebanon, 731 Castle Heights Court on the Castle Heights campus. Lebanon Center for Rehabilitation and Healing is providing 5-star clinical outcomes to short-term and long-term care residents. Call 615-444-4319 for a tour and to experience the new culture. Renewal happens here at Lebanon Center for Rehabilitation and Healing.
Hi, everybody. I'm Tommy Bryan. Join me, Bob Lee, Terry Stafford, and Joe Gardner as we bring you Lebanon High football live every Friday night right here on WANT and WCOR throughout this 2021 season. Lebanon takes on cross-county rival Mount Juliet Friday, October 8th. Don't forget Blue Devil football on WANT WCOR Lebanon. Hi, everybody. This is Tommy Bryan, and along with my color commentator, Bob Lee, we'll be bringing you Cumberland University football right here on WANT and WCOR. Saturday, October 9th, Cumberland will host the University of the Cumberlands at Noakes Lassiter Field. Cumberland football right here on WANT and WCOR Lebanon.
Welcome back to Coleman and Company. Barry Tatum substituting for the specially assigned Coleman Walker, and who is around town. But I guess when you've spent 60, and when you're in your 6 decades of being behind the mic or being involved in radio, you've earned a day off or two here or there as it goes. But Jim, certainly 25 years of being involved in the mile-long yard sales, and I say sales because there are 2 each year. You've earned, some time off from that as well, because it may not. That's something that's always amazed me, is when you have an event like that, and you see what all goes on, you don't realize that how much prep work goes into it.
Oh,
And how
yes.
and it's not something that you can do steadily over a 90-day
No.
period. Most of it is done in a crunch time of just
Yep.
over a few days.
2 months ahead of time, we send out the postcards to the applicants, and we as the weather gets to where it's going to be tomorrow and Saturday, it's you can tell that people have waited too long. Some of them, I want to be on the square, or I want to be down on Central Avenue when a train comes in. Well, those folks have already, they know better.
They locked it up.
They locked it up, a month ago at least. But we still get a few people that are new to the area, or some are just heard about it, after this many years. But we'll find them a place. They may not like it, but they'll be seen.
Well, that's
2
what it's
miles
about.
of Main Street, and that's Watertown is the mile-long yard sale. If you don't want to fight the traffic coming from Lebanon, I suggest getting on the interstate and getting off at the Alexandria exit, and it's 5 miles up to Watertown, and you won't have to mess with all that. So,
Well, that is something.
and you can save your money and spend it in Watertown.
There you go.
Yeah.
And not only do you have vendors selling things and renting spaces, and
Right.
But you also have food vendors, and there are also these inflatables and petting zoos. I believe you've had those in the past.
No inflatables, as far as I'm concerned, for my vendors. No, that's
Okay.
but they have been,
But my point is, there are activities. It's not
Oh, yeah.
just about going to a yard sale. There's food available, and
right.
and
There's people that I've just heard about it, and I want to clean out my shed, and I want a space, so you might get a good deal. And my shop is Jim's Antiques. I open every 8 days a week, so
8 days a week.
yeah. So, and then I'm afterwards. The shop is on Main Street, and it's a block off the square. After the yard sale, we'll head to Maine and pick up a load from my brother, because he hits 3 auctions a month and has a good selection of stuff in his shed in the basement.
So he's in business just like you are. So
Yes.
now you go up there and get a truckload of stuff, and I'm assuming you would have things that we wouldn't normally see in Tennessee.
Oh, yeah.
Lobster traps,
Imagine that.
snowshoes,
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
skis,
Yeah.
antique ice skates.
I do a lot with decorators and designers.
But when you go up there, are you taking him things like?
Not yet. I haven't done that yet. No. They do a lot online, so he's got enough to keep him going. They might buy a box of jewelry for $30 and make $300 on it. So
That's a good return.
that's a good return. Yeah.
But a lot of times when you have the yard sales, whether it's the spring or the fall, the excursion train comes up out of Nashville.
Correct.
I'm assuming that's going to happen this Saturday.
Yes, to my understanding, and it should be a sold-out train, and that's 500 people converging. And on the street that they converge on to get off the train is behind the funeral home area. That's Central Avenue. And I usually have at least 40 vendors on that street. And I try to have a variety for everybody. And everything from soup to nuts to antiques to crafts and things like that. So if you're looking for it, you'll find it.
Well, my son and daughter-in-law, grandkids live right in that area, and I try, if I have something around the house, I'll send it up there for them
Sure.
to put in the sale. And
Yep.
and I'm glad you're here and reminded me of this, because I've got all kinds of leftover electrical boxes and joist hangers type things,
Yep.
and some that are.
It'll
still-
sell, believe me.
Oh yeah, it'll sell whatever you have up there. But
The only thing we don't have this time is is somebody for after the yard sale to pick up stuff. We usually have the Haven House sitting down on Main Street. They can't make it, so they suggest that you bring it to them, either in Carthage or here in Lebanon. So they've been a big help to us, but they had something come up and they can't make it, so they suggest take it to them.
So when you're saying picking up stuff, what are you? Or it's the stuff that doesn't sell?
Stuff that doesn't sell, stuff you looked at too long, for sure. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So
in other words, they'll take donations. I guess,
right. Yep.
And then use it to
not this trip, not in Watertown. You'll have to take it out here. Yeah.
So, and what's their address or contact information? Do you know that off the
I'm
top?
not sure.
Just the Haven House.
It's the Haven House. It's a big blue building that's just off from the courthouse.
Okay.
So,
All right. Well, it's good to have that resource, but when people who aren't familiar with Watertown, but most of our listeners, I think, would be,
I hope so.
The main street runs pretty well parallel to the highway.
Correct.
And the people who own property live on Main Street. They'll have things set up. And
if they don't want to have things set up, they give us their yard, and we split the proceeds with the homeowner. So that works out to their advantage too. So.
And then you rent out spaces for individual
A 12 by
vendors.
12 spot along Main Street is $90, and if we have a homeowner that wants us to rent out, we split the proceeds with them, so between them and the chamber.
Okay. So it's the homeowner and the East Wilson Watertown Chamber of Commerce is the recipient of this.
That's right.
beneficiary.
That's right.
And what type of food vendors will you have up there?
Oh, Lord.
Now that Sammy Forbes has passed away, of course, his family always has
His
a presence.
family, I've checked with them, and they will set up again.
Good.
Yep.
Good.
And we miss Mr. Nick, that's for sure.
That's
I'll have pork rinds, hot dogs, roasted corn, Italian ice. On the square, there'll be barbecue chicken on a stick, Thai food, funnel cakes.
You're going to have Thai food. Oh, good.
It'll be in front of the library.
All right.
So we've already, thought of that. Kona Ice will be here, Baskin Robbins. There'll be some people doing just baked goods, kettle corn. If you can't find it, it ain't there.
Well, 1 year we rented.
You won't go hungry. Plus,
year-
plus the restaurants they're in town, so
Right.
yeah.
1 year we rented a cotton candy
Oh,
machine.
sure.
And it was in the spring, and I remember it was cold. I was wearing a sweater, and I was eating cotton candy off the sleeve of my sweater because it was wrapping around the sleeve on that. But you can have cotton candy, boiled peanuts, just anything, pork rinds, like you said.
Yeah.
But you mentioned Nick Forbes just a minute ago,
Yeah.
and Mike and Melinda, just can't imagine what they're going through. But I talked to
It's
Nick.
tough.
I talked to Nick the day before he passed, and
God bless,
ran into him at Lowe's that morning, and just such a nice guy and such a tragic loss at such a young age.
He used to bring one of his oldest into the shop every once in a while just to do a show and tell type of thing because the young man is interested in military stuff. Mm-hmm. And I took the time, and I would take the time because kids, that's how they learn.
Right.
And explain different things that I had in the shop about it, and gave him something that he would remember me by. So,
well, that's
a great loss, and that to everybody. So.
Yeah, and that's certainly with that family. But the people who are interested in going, I know that in the times that I participated in the mile-long yard sale up there, it's whenever you can see and not run into anything is pretty well when the first vendors
You
start
better
opening.
buy it when you see it, just like you come in my shop. You should have bought it when you saw it. So,
Well, at the end of the day, I remember I would tell people that you don't know you need it until you see it.
yes. And, just be careful coming out to Watertown in every direction that you come, because I've seen some of these, I've heard horror stories of folks just stopping in the middle of the highway.
Mm-hmm.
And these folks that set up yard sales don't always think ahead.
Right.
And it's scary. And that's why we have one-way traffic. We shut the square down at as soon as all my vendors are in at 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock in the morning. So it's a lot of walk. You can do a good walk and then park your car at First Baptist Church or other designated areas, along the railroad tracks. It's 2 miles of Main Street look like a used car lot, along the railroad tracks. So if you can't find it, hey, it ain't there. So,
Well, one thing I want to say before we do close out the thing, I just noticed your shirt, and I am jealous. It's a black shirt, and right above the pocket on the left side it says "The Intimidator" in red print, and it has the Dale Earnhardt.
somebody gave me that years ago, and that's the first thing I grabbed this morning.
Well, I tell you, I'm a big Earnhardt fan here,
Yep.
and it hasn't been the same since he's.
He had class, that's for sure.
Well, I think probably Jeff Bodine and Darrell Waltrip would disagree with that. Or
Yeah,
they
probably.
would have one time.
Yep. Yep.
But he could flat out drive a car.
So just remember, yard sale is rain or shine, and everybody's ready by 7 a.m. on that Saturday morning.
All righty.
And it goes till everybody quits.
Well, Jim, I hope of all the sales that you've been involved in over the years that this one blows the top off of all of those others. I hope you have a great sale, and thank you for being such a supporter, cheerleader for the Watertown community.
Well, I'm not going anywhere. I'm there, so
There you
I'm
go.
there, and they know they can lean on me if they had to. So
And when folks get done that day, if they got an appetite passing back through Lebanon, they can stop off there at the Expo Center and go to the Breakfast Rotary Club fish fry from
right.
4 to 7 at the
Add
Expo
that.
Center. All right, and with that, it's right at 7:30, and we're going to turn it back over to MJ for a traffic report and a word from our sponsor.
Thanks, Judge. Let's see what's happening on the roadways. Thanks to our friends at Bates Ford, you get $50 off, $250 repair offer to owners of 4 to 10-year-old Ford, Lincoln, or Mercury vehicles. Bates Ford, 1673 West Main. Now at traffic, here's Chuck.
Good morning. Still crawling along through Millersville right now as they clean up this crash on 65 southbound. It's going to be near the 101 mile marker. That's got traffic pretty slow through that section of Sumner County, backing it up into Robertson County on 65 southbound here through Millersville. Traffic's on the increase even more now through Mount Juliet, up and down Belinda Parkway right at the interstate. Oktoberfest at Ober-Gatlinburg's going on now through the end of the month. Log on today, Ober-Gatlinburg.com. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
71 degrees all the way.
73 degrees, please.
So what's your perfect degree of comfort? We'll help you find it with professional Rheem HVAC service that'll keep your home comfy year-round, save on energy costs, and may qualify for utility rebates and tax credits. So enjoy a new degree of comfort.
72 degrees, and I'm good to go.
Financing available through TVA's Energy Right program and your local power company. Call Randy's Heat and Air 237-3604.
Service the hometown way. That's THW Insurance. Because THW is an independent agent, you can select from several highly rated insurance companies offering competitive rates and excellent service to best suit your needs. For home, auto, life, health, long-term care, business, and employer's insurance, ask THW. THW Insurance Services, 321 West Main in Lebanon, or call 443-3849. For an online quote, visit thwins.com.
Fiddler's Grove in the James E. Ward Ag Center presents Ghosts in the Grove, October 15th and 16th, with tours starting at 7 p.m. Expect ghosts and ghouls, history with a ghostly twist, and folklore. The Tennessee Ghostbusters and Scuffle Moss will be in attendance as well. Chili, hot dogs, and hot chocolate will be on sale in the general store. Admission is $10 for adults, $5 ages 6 through 16. For more information, call 615-547-6111.
Hey, this is Paul with Bates Ford, and with football season kicking off, so is the great deals with Bates Ford. We've got the Works vehicle package for the low price of $49.95, which includes a tire rotation and an oil change. We also got the cheapest batteries in town for $134.95 installed on most vehicles. And on the vehicle sales sides, we got some great deals. Always looking to buy vehicles. If you got something to sell, bring it to Bates Ford for a cash offer. That's Bates Ford, 1673 West Main Street.
Hi, this is Rick Wittrig. Do you have projects that need painting? Well, why paint when the Powder Coat Art Company will beautifully powder coat your project with a tough, durable, baked-on finish? We have options for commercial, residential, automotive, off-road, and motorcycle parts. See us on Facebook or Instagram, or for a quote, go online at powdercoatart.com or come see us at 1746 Sparta Pike in Lebanon.
A few scattered showers are possible for the first half of today, but skies will gradually clear out. Highs today will top out in the mid-70s. On Friday, skies will be mostly sunny with temperatures climbing to near 80 degrees. We do stay dry this weekend. This weather forecast is brought to you by Walker Auction and Realty, professional auction and real estate services. Get top dollar for your home, land, or personal property. Log on to MikeWalkerAuctions.com. They know auctions. That's a look at your forecast. I'm meteorologist T.J. Scott.
Welcome back to Coleman and Company on this cloudy, overcast Thursday morning. But one thing about Tennessee weather, you give it enough time and it will change. This is Barry Tatum sitting in for Coleman, as I've said, who's on special assignment. And we typically would have Heather Sadler Gallagher here to talk about the Pavilion Senior Living at Lebanon, located at 1409 Medical Center Drive here in Lebanon. I don't think Heather has joined us in the studio, and Bill Goodman said that if she calls in, which she's welcome to do, he will rush in here and punch these buttons and adjust the microphone, whatever needs to be done. But the memory care at the Pavilion Senior Living, they offer compassionate Alzheimer's and dementia care. Their team is specially trained on person-centered care for people living with memory loss. Our memory care neighborhood provides a safe and secure environment and is designed to meet the needs of our residents. All of the activities encourage engagement, connection, and social wellness with each other. Of course, it's located just behind the Vanderbilt Wilson County Hospital. If you go down Babb Drive, you pass the emergency room entrance to the hospital, and it's the next drive to your left. That's Medical Center Drive. Assisted living is also offered by the Pavilion, and it's a perfect solution for seniors who want to maintain their independence but need assistance with the activities of daily living. We work with you to develop a personalized care plan to ensure your overall wellness. In our communities, we encourage resident activities that build companionship, friendships, and overall resident wellness. We design our services to reduce the risk of accidents or falls, and by taking care of meals, housekeeping, and laundry services, they remove much of the burden of living in a private residence. We believe in handling the everyday so that you can enjoy every day. Telephone number there at the Pavilion is 444-5556. That's 444-5556, of course, area code 615. And by all means, you can check out the Pavilion Senior Living at Lebanon-Tennessee /Senior-Living. And but give Heather Sadler Gallagher a call at that number. And I will say from a personal experience, when our mother had a illness and a need, that they took extraordinarily good care of our mother for about 6 weeks up there, and we are indebted and certainly grateful for that. Going to do something here that I don't know that Coleman has ever done, and it has never been done, and I may not be the right person to do it. That was my little alarm to remind me to do it, but Coleman asked me the other day, said, be sure on Thursday to mention Ann Floyd. And for those of you who are familiar with the Jimmy Floyd Center, Ann Floyd is Jimmy Floyd's mother. And Coleman didn't tell me her age, but she has a birthday today, and she is a loyal, devoted listener to Coleman, and he is certainly appreciative of that, as we all are. But I'm going to ask our guest here, Tim Leeper, I'm going to go ahead and give your name out there, to lead us. No, I'm kidding. I'm going to attempt to sing Happy Birthday to Ann Floyd. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, Ann Floyd. Happy birthday to you. And I hope you have a bunch more of them, Ms. Floyd. So, never have done that. You probably just saw the ratings meter go to the bottom with my singing. and there's a reason that people call up on my sister and my brother to do music from time to time. Tim Leeper, good morning.
Morning. How you doing this morning?
Well, I'm doing well, and I'm glad you're here. And to talk about, I guess, part of the time, maybe your livelihood and your business, but also you were telling me before we went on the air that you have a lot of other interests and know a lot of people. You're in the Noon Rotary Club, I believe you mentioned, and several things we can talk about. But tell me a little bit about yourself and the listeners a little bit about yourself, and we'll spend the next 20 minutes here or so just visiting.
All right. Well, I got into the roofing business back when I was just out of high school. I tried going to college. I made it for about a semester. I didn't even stay long enough to finish my grades when I didn't make the baseball team. So
what school?
I went to Ball State, and I went in a year where they had a lot of their starters coming back, and they were the number 6 team in the nation. So it was pretty slim and none chances of me getting on that team. And but anyway, I didn't decide not to do that. So I went to work for a guy. I went to work for an old head carpenter. He was the guy that had, it was before they had the cordless drills. They had the old crank drills, and they had all these old tools that looked like something you see in a horror movie.
Stuff like you'd see in Jim Amaro's antique shop.
Probably so. He probably used some of those things and sold them to Jim. But he would go and disassemble log cabins around southeast United States, have them trucked back to Middle Tennessee into Franklin in the Brentwood area and reassemble them. He had people go on a waiting list for him for a long time. And my uncle worked for him. My uncle was a really good carpenter. And he was really good when he wasn't drinking. But boy, when he got to drinking, he'd lay out for a couple of weeks.
Talking about your uncle?
Talking about my uncle.
Okay.
And so when my uncle would lay out, he needed some help. And one day he asked me about coming on. And I came on, and the good thing was I had a lot of experience with this guy. The bad thing was I got yelled at every day without fail. And I'm not much for one to be, yelled at or be under the gun all the time, but that's how those old heads used to do it. You know, if you didn't figure it out, they'd just talk louder.
Well, that's the way they were brought up, too.
But I learned a lot, and I learned that building necessarily wasn't for me, but the day that I did roofing, I noticed 2 things. We got a lot of stuff done, and I didn't get yelled at that day. So from that day forward, I realized that I liked roofing. I don't know if it was the not getting yelled at, but I really did like seeing things get done. And, we can do most roofs in a day, sometimes 2 days. But so that's a story of me getting into the roofing business. I also have some other interests. I'm the president-elect. Don't ask me about the story, how that worked.
You missed a meeting.
I missed a meeting, you're right. And so I'm the president-elect of the Noon Rotary. Or as John Langford in the Breakfast Rotary likes to say, the older bunch. They tell everybody that they're too old to be in the Noon Rotary, so they got to bring them to the Breakfast Rotary. So we've got a fundraiser coming up that we can talk about here in a little bit if you want to. And I'm also the president, about to roll off, of the West County Help Center. And Miss Renee Hunt is going to roll in my stead whenever we turn the new calendar year over. So we've done fundraisers this year till we're blue in the face. We actually sold some of your cheesecakes this year.
Renee reached out to me back in the spring for that, and I rarely make them for any single person. I used to just give them away, but now I do it for charities, and I've told Phoebe organization, Books from Birth, and Community Help Center, I'd be glad to donate those, and if it'll help that organization, I don't mind doing it, but don't want to do so much of it where it seems like work, if that makes any sense. But so how long have you lived here in Wilson County in Lebanon?
We moved to Lebanon back in 2006, right about when the housing bubble burst.
Right.
And we had bought a house, and it appreciated pretty nice the first year, and we said, man, we got to get to Lebanon. And we did. And I'm telling you, we wasn't in that house. We was there probably about 6 or 7 years, and I think what we lost in value in that house, it just barely crept back up to a break-even point when we left 7 years later.
Okay, but you're still here.
Oh, yeah, I'm still here. I bought a house that unless Jesus takes me somewhere else, I'm going to die there on Man Road.
Okay, so you're out in a good part of the county, out towards where I was raised, Possum Town.
Yes, sir.
And, neighbor of mine down there was saying he lives off of Double Log Cabin Road, and he talked about how he lived in Possum Town. And I said, I don't know what Dr. McKinney and Jerry McFarland did down there, but when I was a kid growing up, Possum Town was back there on Manners Road and Berea Church Road, Man Road. Once they put that sign up and got that international airport, I've got somebody living close to Double Log Cabin in 109 saying they're part of Possum Town. I said, no, sir, you're in LaGuardia down there. But you mentioned before we went off the air, you went to church down there with my sister and brother-in-law at LaGuardia Baptist, and recently did some roofing work on something my sister and brother-in-law were having done. Looks really good, by the way.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And they've done a really nice addition out there. And I dearly love Richard and Susan. And Richard and I used to go. And I don't go to LaGuardia anymore, but I did for a lot of years. And we would go on those men's retreats out to Kentucky Lake. And, you know, we'd go out there fishing, and some years we'd do better than others, but you know, it was always a good time. And Richard's a good one.
Oh, Richard's one of those guys. If a fish is biting, he'll figure out how to catch them. He's one of those guys that's got that gift. I'm kind that'll just lose bait all day or snag up on something, but he can reel them in when it's right on there.
He could do a lot of things.
Yeah.
Mr. Richard got a lot of talent.
And but you mentioned a fundraiser coming up for the Rotary Club. We'll get to that when we come back for word from our sponsors and a traffic report. And with that, it's about 1/4 and we'll turn it back over to MJ.
Thanks, Judge. Let's go ahead and see what's happening on the roadways. And this update brought to you by Bates Ford. That regular oil change, $24.95, up to 5-course oil, tax and disposal, $16.73, West Main. Now at traffic, here's Chuck.
Good morning. Starting to ease up just a bit now on 65 southbound through Millersville. From that earlier crash, they had it really slow through that section of Sumner County. It's heavy over here now on 40 westbound. At Spence Lane, all that traffic coming in past the airport. Still moving through Wilson County. I-40, as you come through Mount Julia, just watch your speed. Gatlinburg Wine Cellar. It's home of the world-famous cotton candy wine. You can check out all their flavors by logging on to GatlinburgWineCellar.com. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
Hey, TP.
Yeah, JB?
You ready?
For Friday Night Lights, you better believe it. Join us on the Fakes and Hooker Scoreboard Show every Friday night after the Lebanon High football game. We'll have all the scores for you and even post-game interviews with all of your Wilson County coaches.
Thank you to our sponsors, Designers Carpet, Fakes and Hooker, Lebanon Appliance, Palometto's Insurance, Sammy B's Restaurant, and Kenny Salas and the hometown team with Keller Williams Realty.
It's the Fakes and Hooker Scoreboard Show with John Boyce and Trenton Perry, right here on WANT 98.9 FM.
As the Titans try to win a second consecutive AFC South Division title. Every snap.
Gives Henry around right end to the 5, to the end zone.
Every first down. Every touchdown.
Touchdown Titans!
It's all heard here.
Brought to you by Fakes and Hooker, Bates Ford, Steve Mall Plumbing, The Jewelers, and the City of Lebanon Gas and Tennessee 811. Call before you dig.
This is Wilson County's home for real country music and the Tennessee Titans. Real Country 98.9.
In the home stretch here on this Thursday morning, October 7th, we're visiting and talking with Tim Leeper, who's spending some time to share his story and his interest and so forth. And he's told us about how he got into the roofing business because you can get a lot done and you don't get yelled at. So that's, if that's not a good business logo, that might be a good hook for a country song right there someday. But you're involved in the Noon Rotary, and you mentioned about, and also you're the current president, outgoing president of the Community Help Center, but you're the president-elect for the Noon Rotary, and you mentioned that they got a fundraiser coming up here fairly quickly.
We do. On October 22nd at the Capitol Theater, we are having Sazerac is coming to Lebanon to put on a bourbon tasting. And I hadn't heard of that being done around here, and I know it's not everybody's thing, but but it's mine for sure. And we have had much success, and many people have asked about this. We've got people coming from out of state to this event, so it's going to be a pretty interesting event.
And that's going to be at the Capitol Theater. What date did you say?
October 22nd. It's going to be from 6 to 9.
Okay.
We've got a lot of bases covered in this. We've got Wilson County Motors is doing sponsoring our Safe Ride Home program. So, if anybody gets there and they have tasted one bourbon too many, they've got a safe ride home. It's more important for us to get people home than it is to raise money. And so if we raise $1 million, but somebody gets hurt in a car wreck, for something we've done, we don't want that.
Yes, sir. What I've heard of these tastings, wine tastings, and chili cook-offs and so forth, but what is involved in a bourbon tasting? Are there different types of bourbons that are brought in from various distillers, and you get a sample, or is it sponsored by one company?
Well, it's actually sponsored by Sazerac. See, Sazerac is a company that's the third largest distiller in the world.
Okay.
And some of their companies they have under their umbrella happens to be Buffalo Trace. Buffalo Trace is kind of the, if you're a bourbon drinker, Buffalo Trace is kind of the mecca for where you go to get good bourbon.
And where is Buffalo Trace?
Buffalo Trace is up, I want to say it's kind of in the Frankfort, Kentucky area.
Okay.
So it's between Lexington and Louisville.
All right.
It's on that stretch. But what they're going to do is they're going to come in, and they're doing this event because Jeff Hall, who is the current president this year, has done some work for many distilleries. He's kind of gotten into that circle and churned around and got some work. And he knew Harlan Wheatley. We went up there, who is the master distiller of Buffalo Trace. Went up there, and he signed quite a bit of things for us. And, it was very cordial to us and kind. And Buffalo Trace, again, is they're one of the companies that's in Sazerac's umbrella brand. And what Sazerac has got going and what they have coming out is they've traditionally been in the bourbon world, where they're going to move over into the Tennessee whiskey world. And they've now got a distillery that they're bringing up over in Laverne, Tennessee.
Okay.
And they're going to compete with, the George Dickells and the Jack Daniels and some of the Tennessee whiskey. Now, they're not going to compete on the level necessarily, but they're going to, put their foot in the market.
Well, I know that's an interest to a lot of people, and I'm not a connoisseur of that. I'm kind of a cornbread and hush puppy kind of connoisseur. But it's I've always, and it's the same way with wine. You can get somebody and they can taste these subtle differences in it and say this one's sweet or this one's bitter or this one's has a aftertaste or whatever the flavor, whatever it is. And I'm just give me something to drink and eat, and I'm happy. And I can make a meal off of ketchup and crackers sometimes, but that's coming up on the 22nd at the Capitol Theater, and I'm assuming there are tickets that can be purchased and perhaps sponsorships still available.
There are tickets can be purchased, sponsorships available. You can just go to grandolebourbon.com, and that's grandole bourbon.com. And it'll have all that information on there. And from what you just told me, that you would be a good candidate for the fish fry. And I heard you talking about it this morning. But those guys, they put on a really good fish fry in the morning, and we've done some sponsorships for those guys. They're good. We're good back and forth to each other. They help us and we help them, but there's always that friendly rivalry.
And it's good to have that competition. It's just like our local high schools or our local schools and athletic events or academic events. It's that's not that one's the good Rotary Club or the bad Rotary Club. It's all a bunch of good men and women trying to give something back to the community. And certainly the fish fries from 4 to 7 at the Expo Center this coming Saturday. But you mentioned growing up and about how you got into the roofing business, and tell me a little bit more about your business here, because do you do full roof replacements or new installations? Do you do just patching and repairing? What's the spectrum, I guess, of services that y'all offer?
We do mostly tear off roofs. We retrofit, what we call them. So if you've got a roof on your house and it needs to be repaired or replaced, we'll come out, tear it off, put a new one on. We don't do very many recovers. We have people ask about them, but we feel like that if I can't see what I'm nailing to,
Right.
I don't know where there's any bad wood, and it would be really hard for me to put something on, and 2 or 3 years down the road, some of those shingles start coming loose because we didn't know. We took the shortcut, if you will. Right. We also do a ton of repair work. We probably get somewhere between 4,000 and 6,000 calls a year. Of those 4,000 to 6,000 calls, I would tell you that 65 to 70% are repairs. Now, they could be repairs in a flat commercial setting, and they could be repairs on a homeowner's house, a shingle roof. We do all that. We don't do very much new construction. That's a really good place to lose money. Unless I know somebody, unless I like, Tim Hill, Jimmy Floyd, we're going to do Tim's place here not too long. But we sit down and looked at his plans and designed it, and we kind of planned for ice dams and things like that, so that before any hardy board or any stone or anything goes on, we can wrap those walls with that ice and water shield, the whole wall. We can do the overkill a little bit on the front end, and you'd be surprised. It's really not all that much more money to spend a little time and plan it out, but most people just let a builder do it, and many builders, I'm not knocking builders at all, but they're trying to make money on their jobs.
And the way you do that is it's not cutting corners. You'll put a good roof on or good materials in a house, but just like you were saying, you can also overbuild or over-prepare for anticipated problems somewhere that maybe don't get done in the construction phase. Something I had done several years ago was a roof put on the house, and I've got 4 valleys. And I'd seen this on this old house on public television. It was a membrane, neoprene or rubber somehow, and it had an adhesive backing. And they used it a lot up in New England for valleys and so forth, rather than just doing an overlap shingle with a felt base to it. Do you use that type of component in a roof around here? We don't have as much ice and snow, obviously.
Yes and no, and let me tell you what I mean by that. Okay. We have a product that we use that really came from the Northeast. That they use a lot in valleys, and also for ice damming along the warm wall of the house. So they'll go 4 to 6 feet from the eave where the gutter is, into the warm wall of the house, and they'll put it there, and then all the valleys. And what it does is it sticks directly to your deck, and they use it for condensation as well as waterproofing. So when it adheres directly to your roof deck, there's no air pockets in there like there would just a loose laid product in there. And so we'll do that, but we'll do it as an underlayment. Now, I have done other products where there's an exposed valley, but most of the time when I see people want to do exposed valleys, they want to put metal valleys, and we'll still put the ice and water shield in those valleys, but we'll put metal on top of them.
My first experience with that, my dad was always kind of a do-it-yourself, fix-it-yourself, and they built the house I was raised in, and they had a leak develop when I was an early teenager. We got up there, and he had put galvanized metal in the valleys, I believe it was. And over time, those things had heated up and had shrunk and changed in the temperature. It had basically take a piece of metal and you work it back and forth enough, it developed cracks, and that's where the failure was coming. So that was my first roofing experience, but all I was doing was just handing him whatever tool he needed at the time. But anything else you wanted to touch on? I didn't know if you wanted to talk about family or hobbies. We've covered a lot of ground here, but probably one thing that we need to do is, how do they get in touch with you if you do have a roofing repair or roof replacement?
Yeah, well, I try to send most people to the website, because that way they can check out our company, kind of find out a little about us. Go to Google, look at our reviews, but it's really easy. It's timleaperroofing.com. And you can find us on the website, and our phone number for those, and it's on there too, is 615-553-2782. Now, you asked me if there's something I want to talk about. I am awfully curious why we need a no alcoholic beverages allowed in this room. Somebody somewhere down the line has made that sign necessary. I just want to know that story.
You know, you're going to have to talk to Susie James, the owner of the station, and it may have something to do with some live broadcasts that had occurred in here before in Studio B. But I can assure you that I've gone through every drawer in this room looking for something to drink, and Coleman doesn't keep anything stashed away. That's for sure.
Well, that's the only thing I could think of to bring up. I've seen that the first time. I've been here a number of times. It's the first time I've seen that sign.
Well, because of the leak that we had from the plumbing, a lot of things have been taken off the wall. Plaques and awards, guitars, and so forth. And for whatever reason, and like I said, it's probably an FCC regulation, that sign has been up there as long as I can remember, and you're only seeing it now, so I'm wondering about you in a way.
I've got coffee in this cup this morning.
Same here. But no, it's a good question. It's right under the on-air light, but I don't know if that's related to the FCC or not, but that's Susie's responsibility in here. This is her playhouse, and I don't want to push the rules or anything like that. But no, in the last minute or so, minute and a half, anything else you want to touch on or story you'd like to share?
Well, I just would like to say, we're grateful for the customers that we have. We're grateful for the repeat customers, for the referrals that we get in the community. I think that people know that when they do business with us that they're going to get a good product and we're going to stand behind it. If there's times that we miss stuff, there's times that we have to go back to take care of things, but we always try to go back and make it right one way or the other. So if, we've had things over the years and if we've missed something, had to go back and fix a leak, we'd go back, fix the leak, make sure it's fixed, and then we'd fix the inside.
Right.
We'd go in and paint, and sometimes that's meant we paint 3 rooms because you just can't paint one section and it not stand out. So we paint it all, make it look right. So it's just all about keeping your word and making things right with customers. They don't mind messing up as long as you do it right.
There you go. TimLeeperRoofing.com, and we thank you for your sponsorship and enjoyed the visit this morning. And the folks that are listening out there, I promise you I will not sing tomorrow morning. But wish you have a tremendous Thursday and tune in tomorrow.